Today's video is all about the top 5 suburbs in Vancouver. And it's not just my opinion. This is actually based on where people are moving, where we're seeing the most growth in the Lower Mainland. It's these 5 suburbs, and I'm gonna explore it right here with you. I'm gonna show you what it's like to live in them, show you some properties in those communities, and we're gonna get into it right here. Stay tuned. As I always do, I always start with the city of Vancouver. And just as a baseline, so we understand its comparisons to the other areas that I'm going to be talking about, the 5 fastest growing suburbs of the city of Vancouver, the 5 most exciting places that people are moving to in 2023, we need to understand how fast is Vancouver growing. And Vancouver is right here in the center of the screen, outlined in red. And that has a population approximately of 662,000 this past year, and it's about 110 square kilometers. Typical price point in Vancouver is $1.3 million and $5,000, and it's growing at a rate of 4.9%. So that's the baseline, 4.9%. But there's areas of the Lower Mainland that are growing much, much faster, and the Lower Mainland is a much bigger region. It's all of this area, it's approximately 2.5 million people. So in the last 5 years, we're going to be looking at the most popular areas, the areas that are fastest growing. And I'm going to start from number 5 and work my way down to the very fastest growing suburbs. So you're going to have to stick in all the way to the end to really be able to find out what the number 1 suburb in the Lower Mainland is. What we're going to start off with is North Vancouver. And North Vancouver is, as you may have guessed, directly to the north of the city of Vancouver. And we can see right here, there's Vancouver. Up top here is North Vancouver. Right below all this green area up top, that is the North Shore Mountains. We have Cypress, Grouse Mountain, and Mount Seymour over here. And you have North Vancouver on the eastern side, and then you have West Vancouver on the western side. So it's the city of North Vancouver, and not to make too fine a point of this, but we do have 2 different areas. There is the district of North Vancouver, which is it's kind of like all this overarching area going way out here over to Deep Cove. But the area that's fastest growing is the city of North Vancouver, which is right in the middle here. You can see right there, outlined in red once again, that is the city of North Vancouver and not the district. So the city of North Vancouver has just shy of 63,000 people living in it. It is incredibly fast growing at 9.9%. So it grew from 2016 to 2021, nearly 10%. And its typical price point is actually higher than the city of Vancouver. Its typical price point is $1.349 600,000, so almost $1.35 million. And this area is incredibly popular. It's very close to the city of Vancouver, as we know. And if you watched my video about North Vancouver, it's really easy to access North Vancouver from the city, going straight across here via the C-Bus. And then there's also 2 bridges. Over here is the Lions Gate Bridge, and over on the other side is the Second Narrows Bridge. So what a lot of people love about North Vancouver is its easy access to downtown, unless you get stuck in rush hour traffic, as if you've been watching my videos, you'll know I get a little bit frustrated with, but people love the access to the outdoors. And these days, not too many people, so many people are able to work from home. So it's if you are working from home, or if you are working on the North Shore, or you just like the quick and easy access onto the highway, you can see, you get way out here going up to Whistler. Over here at Horseshoe Bay, you have access over to the Gulf Islands and to Vancouver Island. And then you're still just right outside of the city of Vancouver. So it's a really lovely area. There is a lot of development happening. And so the main center of North Vancouver is Lonsdale, which is this road that runs right through the middle of the city. That's where you're going to find the commercial center, and you're going to find a lot of the higher density built along there. So sort of stuff built in the last 20 years or so. Moving away from it, you do see some single family residential along either side of Lonsdale. Down below here, you see some older some of it is rental stock, some of it are condos, and you're seeing more townhouse developments in this area as well. So lots of different housing options. And speaking of housing, we are going to look at one prime example of what's available in the Lonsdale area. So here we have a prime example of what's available in the city of North Vancouver, and it's a beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo. It's 1,141 square feet, built in 1998. So it's not brand new, it's a little bit older. You have maintenance fees of $554, and your taxes are about 200, just over, let's say $220 a month. And looking at the photos here, you have a really nice rooftop patio with some really nice views. So that is one thing that you're going to find in North Vancouver, that because it's on the slope of the mountains, you get a lot of, usually a lot, if you're facing south, you're going to get a lot of light from that side. You're going to get some really nice views, usually of English Bay, of the Inner Harbor, and also of the city of Vancouver. And to the north, if you're facing on the north side of the building, if you're high enough, you're going to get really beautiful views of the North Shore Mountains. And this is a lovely open plan condo with some great big windows, modern kitchen, in-suite laundry, looks like some granite countertops. Ooh, look, a wine fridge. Everybody loves a wine fridge. The view does look, to this side at least, to be a little bit blocked, which isn't ideal, but you also get, looks like some skylights there, so plenty of light coming in here. Yeah, it looks like maybe just an upper bank of windows, and a really nice sized patio, which I always love, especially if you're living in a condo. And this is a condo rather than a townhouse. Let's see, yeah, 1,141 square feet, and it has one parking stall. And this is actually below the typical cost of property in North Vancouver. So it's at 1.3 million. And that would be an example of what's available in North Vancouver. Now let's take a look at the next area that we want to consider. The next fastest growing suburb of Vancouver is White Rock. White Rock is way down to the south. It actually basically borders the United States, way down here. And if you've been watching some of my videos, you'll know that the further south we go, the less rain we get. So White Rock, one of the big advantages of White Rock is that it actually doesn't get a lot of rain in comparison to North Vancouver, where we were just having a look. So it's about, you know, there's about 1,000 millimeters of rain in White Rock versus about 2,500 millimeters of rain in North Vancouver. So a pretty massive difference. And you get a lot more sun. So White Rock is kind of the, it's a beach community, and it's been a little bit sleepy for a long time, but it's seeing a lot of development. And White Rock, let me just double check here. Yeah, there's just shy of 21,000 people living in White Rock. The standard price, the benchmark price in White Rock for real estate is $1,041,300. And in the 5-year period from 2016 to 2021, it's skyrocketed in population 10%. So pretty significant growth in White Rock. And there you have it, there's White Rock. It's a relatively small area, so that's why we only see about 21,000 people living here. It is surrounded by Surrey. And you can see here, that is Surrey up above it and around it. And this area down below here, that's known as South Surrey. So many people will lump these two areas in the same basket, South Surrey / White Rock. And if you live in South Surrey, you typically relate those two places pretty close together. If you live in White Rock, generally you just say White Rock. One of those little colloquialisms. I always have a little hard time with that word, but yeah, this area, White Rock, is where people generally want to be. There's some lovely areas all around White Rock. I mean, South Surrey is also a beautiful area. As I said, what attracts people down here is sort of the value that you get, the relationship to the ocean, to the water. Let's take a brief look at what that is like if we get down to the beach in White Rock. That's looking the wrong way. But really lovely beach community. I can't get any closer, unfortunately. This pier is quite famous. Here's the actual White Rock that the community is named after. And it's a pretty steep slope coming up off of the beach. So looks a little more like a lane than a street that we're sitting in here. But you do have some really lovely homes in White Rock, a lot of them taking advantage of the views to the ocean. It's one of my favorite spots. So a pretty solid mix of new and old. And then when you get off up into, this area is a little more, higher density. So you see quite a mix of houses and then larger condo developments. You can see a lot of construction happening. So this is where, that 10% increase in population over that period, you're seeing a lot of development of higher density happening in White Rock in the last few years. We're going to take a look at one property in particular to give you an idea of what the typical property in White Rock looks like around that typical price point of roughly $1,050,000. So this property is very new, just built in 2022. I think this is in particular still being sold by the original developer. You can see a high rise on the 7th floor, concrete high rise. This is 2 beds, 2 baths. It comes with 2 parking stalls and an underground garage. It's just shy of 1,100 square feet at $1,030,900. It's a development with 126 units. Very reasonable maintenance fee of $423. And just taking a look at some of the photos here. Beautiful views, big giant windows. Of course, this is staged, so it looks even better. Staging really works just between you and I. It looks like to the north and then of the ocean in the distance. Nice high ceilings, big open plan. It looks like to the right, there's a den with some nice windows, lovely finishing, beautiful design, interior design, very trendy. Looks like a place that I would like to call home. It certainly looks a lot better than my own place, let me tell you. With 4 little kids, I can't keep my house looking like this, unfortunately. That's just a snapshot of what it would look like to live in White Rock. Now let's move on to the next community that we're going to take a look at. All right, so now we're back looking at Vancouver, and we're gonna look at our third area, and that third area is Maple Ridge. And I don't know if you know where Maple Ridge is, but it is way out here over to the east. So we're going past Burnaby, past Coquitlam, past Port Coquitlam, past Pitt Meadows, right over here to Maple Ridge. So let's zoom in over on that portion of the map. And you can see Maple Ridge is outlined here in red, and it's quite massive. That's a huge area. Obviously, the growth is not way up here in Golden Ears Park, because that is a provincial park, and a lot of this area is very, very rugged. But that is one of the nice things about living in an area like Maple Ridge. You are gonna have really amazing access to the outdoors, and not just to the mountains, but also to lakes and rivers. So you see the Fraser River going along the bottom, you have the Pitt River up here, you have Alouette Lake, and you have Stave Lake. So lots of boating access. You're not gonna have as easy access to the ocean, but you definitely have amazing access to the outdoors in every other way. And that's one of the big draws for Maple Ridge. The typical price point for property in Maple Ridge is $1,005,700. There are just shy of 92,000 people that live in Maple Ridge. And in the 5-year period from 2016 to 2021, it saw just shy of an 11% increase, 10.6% to be exact. Most of that is going to be happening down here. One of the big drivers for the development of the Pitt Meadows and Maple Ridge area was the Golden Ears Bridge that was built right here. And that's made access from either side of the Fraser River much, much simpler. And so rather than, I think sort of the original development was, well, everybody wants to get into the city of Vancouver. But where the boom in this area really took off when the Golden Ears Bridge was built, and with the understanding that many people actually lived and worked in Surrey Langley and wanted to be able to work in Maple Ridge or vice versa. And so that access for Maple Ridge really exploded the area. And that's why it's seen so much growth, not to mention the amount of nature that's available, also just the value that you get. And so it's an area that typically people are drawn to because of its affordability. It's a little more laid back, it's a little more rural. If we were to zoom in, there's not gonna be any massive office structures, or you'll see, most of downtown Maple Ridge is really single-story development. It's a very cute area. It has everything you could want, and it's, you know, a relatively short commute into the city of Vancouver. Here's some single-family residential. So you have some low-rise development, but mainly what you have is single-family residential, sort of at a much more affordable price point that you're going to find in most areas of the Lower Mainland. And in fact, let's take a look at a typical property. So something that sits around $1 million. All right, so in fact, this is the only area that we're covering where you could get a single-family residential property, a house, for $1 million. And this is a very sizable house. This is a 6,000 square foot lot, so nearly 50 feet wide, 122 feet deep. You can see it has a double car garage. It's got 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It was built in 1988, 2,400 square feet. I mean, this house in the city of Vancouver, not even a particularly nice area in the city of Vancouver, would probably be worth 2.5 times this, roughly $2.2 to $2.5 million. Taking a look inside, ooh, it's not an in-ground pool, but it is an above-ground pool. That's kind of nice. Yeah, it looks like obviously a very sizable backyard, which is lovely. Lots of families in this area, lots of young families that appreciate the outdoors, appreciate the value of the community. So it's a little bit older. You can see that in the finishings. Not the same kind of quality that we were looking at in sort of a newer property in North Vancouver. But keep in mind, what you're buying here is land, and it's cheaper, 30% cheaper than what you would be paying in North Vancouver for a 2-bedroom condo. So obviously you're getting a lot more here. And again, that's what's drawing people to Maple Ridge. It's a wonderful community, definitely an area that you want to be considering. And you don't just have to drive. That's one of the nice things. If you'll remember some of my videos about where I touch on public transit, there is the West Coast Express, and that does go from Maple Ridge all the way into downtown Vancouver. So, you know, for commuters, if you do need to get into the city, it's still a feasible commute. Even from a distant suburb where the value is really great, such as Maple Ridge or Mission, that makes living in those communities much less of a hassle. All right, so let's take a look at suburb number 4. All right, so suburb number 4, back to the map in Vancouver, we're looking at New Westminster. And New Westminster is just east of Vancouver. It's over here. So it's still on the same mass of land. And actually, yes, it is the first of these suburbs that we're looking at where you're not going to have to cross a bridge. So we kind of bumped all around the Lower Mainland so far. We were up here in North Vancouver, then way down here in even lower over in White Rock, and then over here in Maple Ridge. And now we're back much closer to the city of Vancouver. And I think you might be surprised at what kind of value you're getting here. So New Westminster has just shy of 80,000 people. Its benchmark price is just shy of 850,000 at 846,800. And it grew between 2016 and 2021 at a rate of 11.2%. So massive growth in New Westminster. It's right over here. It's probably, you know, obviously given that benchmark price, it is one of the best values. And I view it as one of the greatest opportunities because you're not crossing a bridge. And again, if you've been watching my videos, you know how much I hate commuting and being stuck in traffic. And going across bridges for me is a real killer. So I would do personally just about anything I could if I wanted to be close to Vancouver, to stay on the land mass without crossing a bridge. Now, all bets are off if you're only working from home and or you don't have to go into Vancouver to work or every day for one reason or another. But if you do need to go into Vancouver, New Westminster is it's one of the areas that I think most people should be looking at if they're looking for more affordability and they don't really want to spend a lot of time commuting. Jumping on the SkyTrain in New Westminster, getting into the city of Vancouver takes about half an hour, and it's a really easy commute. There we have it. So not a huge area. Keep in mind that there is an area of New Westminster that you can see right here that is not contiguous. It's not connected to the mainland. So this area, you would actually need to cross a bridge to get into Vancouver, and that area is called Queensborough. And it is probably where the best value is. It's the least expensive real estate in New Westminster, but you have to be comfortable crossing a bridge, and that's why it is cheaper. It's also, as I was talking about the charms of New Westminster, this is definitely an area where you're going to spend more time commuting, not just because of the bridge, but there's really just one way in and one way out. And so that makes rush hours a little more of a hassle in Queensborough. Now back over to the mainland and New Westminster, what I also really love about New Westminster is that it has an historic downtown. And this was in fact the original provincial capital. And so before they moved it to Victoria, this was the capital. And there's sort of like a natural downtown core, which I think a lot of people that are priced out of Vancouver and would prefer to be in the city of Vancouver, but they can't quite afford it. I find a lot of those people are drawn to New West because they like the urban sense, the urban flair style that New Westminster offers, in a way that many of the other suburbs don't. It's very well supplied by transit, SkyTrain. I think there's at least two stops, maybe 3 or 4 even. Plenty of options when it comes to transit. There's a lot of development happening. There's sort of a really nice connection down below here to the Fraser River. You have the possibility of some amazing views. It's fairly steep, and again, I'll bring you in here just to take a look. Down at near the waterfront, there's going to be more high-rise development, a lot of it built in the last 15 to 20 years. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. Some mix of older buildings with newer buildings here. And then this is the slope that I'm also referring to. We're going up the slope here. But you can see really good, high quality, newer buildings mixed into this area. Sort of higher end homes around Queen's Park there. A really lovely single family residential zone. Lots of older homes, a lot of renovations that have happened in this area, a few developments of newer construction as well. All right, so now we're going to look at what is a typical property in New Westminster at roughly $850,000. So at 290 Francis Way, we have a property that was listed at $940,000, but they lowered the price to $888,000. So a little bit higher than the $850,000 threshold, but it is built in 2008. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,266 square feet. It comes with 2 parking stalls. Maintenance fee is a little bit higher. I mean, we are seeing more square footage here, but it is just shy of $730. You're looking at taxes just shy of $3,000. So roughly $150. No, do not do this math. Do not do math live. Roughly 250, is that right? Yeah. Roughly $250 a month in taxes. Let's take a look at some of these photos. I really enjoy this development. It is some nice high ceilings, really good quality, lots of space. Many of these units will have some really nice views, really high quality amenities. You can see a nice big open plan, really big windows, big living space, all kind of, it's not brand new, but still very modern touches. And again, when you're looking at under $900,000 for the Lower Mainland, this is really exceptional value to be able to find a 3-bedroom condo. So something that will not just be applicable for a single person or a young couple, but this is actually a solid family option. And to find that so close to the city of Vancouver, under $900,000, look at those big, huge bedrooms, big closets. Look at all that space. My wife would die for these closets. I don't even have this much clothing, but I'd find something to fill that space with. Nice big bathrooms. You get the idea, but this is the kind of place that you can find in New Westminster. There are many very affordable options, and that is a really strong draw. That and its proximity to Vancouver, along with sort of its urban type of culture, draws a lot of people and a lot of growth to New Westminster. Now let's take a look at number 5, the fastest growing suburb of Vancouver. All right, so back to the main map. Where is number 5? Where is the fastest growing suburb of Vancouver? The most popular spot that seems like just about everybody has been moving to for pretty close to a decade. That suburb is Langley. And we got to go way over here to find Langley. So pretty far east. And in my childhood, Langley was really just very rural. It was a lot of farm community. I mean, a lot of these areas, whether it's Richmond, Delta, Surrey, Langley, that's what all of this space used to be. But we've seen so much development over the last 30, 40 years, and it's only continuing. So Langley, what we're looking at, Langley Township and City combined are 135,000 people. And let me just bring that up on the map for you. Now that is only, how do I do this? Actually, maybe, so the township, or sorry, the city of Langley is that smaller area, but there we have, that is all of Langley. So if we include those, that red boundary plus this area that's excluded right now, that is all what we would consider Langley, and where 135,000 people live. What people love about Langley is it's very family oriented. It is very affordable. There's massive amounts of development that are happening. Lots of opportunity for young families, in particular young professionals. And you know, generally you have to not mind a bit of a commute. You can see, you know, there's obviously Highway 1 that runs right through Langley, so getting into the city is possible, but it can be quite a commute, especially in the middle of rush hour. So if you don't need to get in Vancouver, that's where Langley becomes a much better option. I would consider it carefully if you know how much time you want to be spending in your car. There is a well underway sort of development of the next SkyTrain line is going to be coming from, it currently stops around here in Surrey, but the plan is to bring it all the way through Surrey and into the city of Langley right here. So that's going to change things really for a lot of Surrey and for Langley as well. And incidentally, speaking of Surrey, I mean, to be honest, I'm a bit surprised that Surrey isn't on our list of the most popular suburbs. It'd probably be number 6, but it is, for a very long time, has been one of the fastest growing suburbs. In fact, it's not going to be long before Surrey, which is absolutely massive, it's this whole area right here, will overtake Vancouver in terms of population. So right now, I think Vancouver sits at about 600 and I think it's 662, and Surrey, I believe, is about 575, somewhere in that vicinity. And it's growing at a faster rate than Vancouver is because there's so many possibilities for development. And we expect to see it overtake the city of Vancouver in about 20 years or so in terms of population size. But we're not here to talk about Surrey, we're here to talk about Langley. So let's get back over here and talk about Langley. And you can see, you know, you're bordered on the north by the Fraser River, and one of the most popular areas right there is going to be Walnut Grove. And to the south, you have the US. So you have really easy access to the south of the border if you like to get some cheaper gas, as an example. I'm always surprised by this, but apparently the Americans call Canadians just here south of the border cheeseheads, because so many Canadians go to Canada to buy cheddar cheese. And I personally have never done it, but apparently enough of us do that the Americans call us, at least, you know, 20 years ago, they were calling us cheeseheads. Sorry, did I mention this? I don't think I did, sorry. But 135,000 people live in Langley. Typical sort of benchmark for property is $1,050,000. And Langley blew everyone's socks off by growing at a pace of 13% from 2016 to 2021. So faster growth than we've seen anywhere else in the Lower Mainland over that period. So this is a townhouse at 75A Avenue, built in 2022, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, 2 covered parking stalls. Sorry, it's a garage, a double garage. It's 3 levels, 1,621 square feet. Look at that maintenance fee at just $217. Really affordable maintenance fee. Taxes, you are going to be paying a little bit more in taxes there. So obviously that's considerably more, you know, in proximity of $400 a month. Yeah, it's about right, $375 or something. But pretty high property taxes in in Langley, but you're saving on your maintenance fees, and you're saving sort of in the outlay for the property itself. And let's take a quick look at this beautiful townhouse. Big open spaces, huge kitchen. You know, the spaces are so big, they don't even have enough furniture to fill this space with. That's how big it is. But yeah, I love those floors, love the white and black. Lots of pictures of that kitchen. Looks like this is a bedroom. Yes, bedroom. Yeah, I thought it might be a den. That's why I was hesitating, but no, got some of the 4 bedrooms, massive closets, just space upon space upon space, big bathroom. There's and not just a stacked laundry, like that's how much space there is in Langley, that you could actually put laundry next to each other. You don't have to stack it in your laundry closet. And look at that massive garage. I mean, that looks pretty sexy to me. I gotta say, I really enjoy a nice garage. Looks like a perfect place for not only my car, but also a gym, place for the kids to play some floor hockey. Yeah, and then you're gonna just find a lot of young families in an area like this, lots of people with kids. And look at that green space right beside you, and lots of outdoor space. I love it. And those are the 5 fastest growing suburbs in the Lower Mainland. Pretty amazing stuff. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got a lot of info from it. If you did get any value from it, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more of me. I do put out videos just like this every single week. I'll be putting out another one for you next week. In the meantime, if you want to know more about buying in the Lower Mainland, check out this playlist I put together about buying houses, townhouses, and condos. It's packed full of information I think you're gonna really get a lot of value from. Check those videos out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.